Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Ravens flock. It's over. It's finally over. We've reached the end. The journey has come to the end for the Baltimore Ravens. Their season has finally concluded and they are heading to the offseason. The Baltimore Ravens suffer yet another heartbreaking loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers in overtime, 16-13 to end their season. They drop to 8-9 on the season and fall all the way to 4th place in the AFC North. The first time that has ever happened under John Harbaugh. That's brutal. To think at some point, the Ravens were the number 1 seed in the AFC. Sitting at 8-3, they were the number 1 seed, despite everything that happened. And then they lose Lamar Jackson, and they don't win a football game for the rest of the season. Think about that. He goes down against Cleveland, and the team does not win a football game afterwards, and they miss out on the playoffs. I think it goes to show the Lamar Jackson effect. Whether you like him or hate him, whether you feel he's the guy or feel that we should look somewhere else, because I know Ravens fans have always been divided about that. At the end of the day, Lamar is the franchise. And he's the main catalyst in us winning. He goes down and we can't win a football game? Yeah, in some cases context matters, and we know Tyler Huntley has played well in some of these games. I get it. But at the same time, just looking at the situation in face value, the Ravens have not won a football game since Lamar Jackson was the starter. He goes down in Cleveland, they pull off that comeback, but they don't win. That's a loss. Then they keep on losing and losing and losing and losing. Yeah, they were losing by 1 point here, 2 point here, 3 point here, but they still lost. Face value, you haven't won a football game since Lamar Jackson was a starter. That's the Lamar Jackson effect. So honestly, when we hit into the offseason and we're talking about extensions, maybe DeCosta wants to look at that 6-game losing streak to end the season and think about extending Lamar Jackson. Maybe hand him a check and say, put whatever you want. Hand him a blank check and let him go to town. Because at this point, we really don't have much. Oh boy, I know injuries played a role. We know that. Nobody can sit back and say injuries did not play a role at ruining this season for the Ravens. It did. Of course injury played a role. Lamar got injured. But it was just rough all around. It was rough all around. In terms of this game, there's not much to talk about. Both the Steelers and the Ravens did not play a good game. But at the end of the day, Big Ben and the Pittsburgh Steelers were able to come up clutch in overtime and get the job done. Huntley played terrible. Threw 2 picks, did not look good. For those that were saying Huntley should replace Lamar, congrats on that take. You look stupid. I don't know why you guys thought that in the first place. Honestly, it just goes to show why football players never take anything fans say seriously, and it's why they look at us as if we're 3-year-old kids. They look at us like we're 3-year-olds because we have the mindset of 3-year-olds when it comes to fans. We want the shiny new toy. Our mindset and memory is so quick that we forget anything else another player has done. Lamar Jackson is accomplished in this league. The only thing he has not done is win a Super Bowl. And that's the biggest question surrounding him, just like a lot of the top young quarterbacks that have not won a championship yet. Can he lead his team to a Super Bowl? That's the big question. But everything else, he's done it. He's won his division multiple times. He's been the number 1 seed. He's won MVP. He's been first team All-Pro. He's been a Pro Bowler. He's led this league in touchdown passes. He's played at the highest level. This man has done it all. The only thing he has not accomplished is winning a Super Bowl, which is a question you have for a lot of young quarterbacks. So that man was already accomplished coming into the season, and then he was carrying this team while they were injured and putting up an MVP type season, even though his touchdown to interception ratio were god awful, and people were like, look at the touchdown to interception ratio. Well, it wasn't going to be great when you have to carry this team the same way Russell Wilson has to carry his team. So obviously it wasn't going to be great in some cases. And yeah, there were times where Lamar could have made better decision making, but you could tell he was trying to play hero ball out there. And it went bad, man. It ended poorly for him because he was really trying to play hero ball because he understood everything was on him. If he didn't play well, they had no chance to win. It was Lamar or nothing, and Lamar understood that. And clearly, we could see it was Lamar or nothing. They can't win a football game without him. That's basically how it happened. They won one good game. They won one good game against the Bears when he was sick. So that was cool, but other than that, you couldn't win a football game without him, really. So he knew everything was on him, and he played hero ball, and it cost him a lot. So Come back healthy, come back better, come back stronger, Lamar. We'll see you next season. But yeah, for the people that were saying Huntley should, start over Lamar, you only looked at one picture. Your mind is so quick to forget what Lamar's accomplished that you saw how he played against the Packers and assumed, oh yeah, franchise guy, throw Lamar away, trade him away. That's such ignorant thinking. That's such ignorant thinking. And this is exactly why players never listen to what fans say. That one performance was enough to erase everything Lamar's done in his career. That's stupid. That's completely stupid. Not to mention, we've seen in plenty of moments throughout history, we've seen backup quarterbacks come in and have a great performance or two against other teams. But when it comes to them becoming the starter, they don't work out well. Now, Tyler Huntley has some talent, but he's also young, and he's also very raw in his mechanics and stuff. He still needs time to develop. But you guys thought just because he balled out against the Packers, he's ready to go, he's a franchise guy, replace him over Lamar. This is why fans will never be taken seriously by players. They'll never listen to you because you say stupid things like this. But it is what it is. The Lamar Jackson effect was clear as day, and Ravens are heading home. I don't have much to say on the season right now. I'm sure I'll find a way to, recap this whole season, and we'll just talk about it later down the week, but as we prepare for the playoffs. But, I prepare to cover the playoffs. Ravens are already out of the postseason, but as we, the fans, prepare to watch this upcoming playoffs, I'll be sure to talk about it this week. But in terms of what needs to change, I think it comes down to Eric DeCosta. Look, I'm a fan. I have my opinions on certain things. You hear me speak them. I've been one to say get rid of Greg Roman. I've been one to question a lot of things. But at the end of the day, it comes down to one man to make that choice. The GM, Eric DeCosta. I think Eric has to take a good look and assess this team as a whole, both the coaching staff and the players. When it comes to the players, I think he has to assess what needs to be done in terms of fixing certain aspects of this team. When you look at the offense, the main thing you have to fix is his offensive line. The receivers obviously could need more work and practice, especially with Hollywood making so many mistakes. God, he made a bunch of mistakes in this game. They could still need some work in terms of development, but not in terms of adding. You can add talent if you want in the later rounds, but that's not an emphasis right now. The number thing, wow, I'm just lost right now. But the number one thing DeCosta needs to focus on improving on the offense is that O-line. You have to completely retool the offensive line. No question. You have to completely retool that offensive line. On the defensive side, you have to completely retool that front seven. It's no guarantee that Calais Campbell will be back next year. I have no idea what's going to happen with Calais Campbell. I know people brought up Brandon Williams and, a bunch of people, Justin Houston, maybe see how that goes. I don't know what's going to happen with the front seven. But I think that there needs to be some level of an emphasis on the front seven because I don't know if you're going to have these same guys back even when they're healthy. I'm not sure. So offensive line needs to be addressed. Front seven needs to be addressed. The final part that needs to be addressed, the secondary. Did you see how many injuries happened there? There's no guarantee Marcus Peters is going to be back for the foreseeable future. There's no guarantee about Deshaun Elliott. Jimmy Smith, I don't know if he's going to be back after this year. I have no clue. So that secondary needs to be completely retooled. This is where the draft comes into a play. The draft needs to be focused and emphasized on the offensive line, the front seven, and the secondary. Those are the three aspects you need to focus your draft picks on. So DeCosta, focus on those three aspects in the draft to help retool and improve this team for a potential Super Bowl run next year. Now we get to the other side, coaching. I really think Eric DeCosta needs to assess this coaching staff. I don't know if he's going to fire anybody. I'm not going to do my whole fire this guy, fire that guy. At the end of the day, I'm a fan that has my own opinion. It has no impact on the decisions this organization and this front office chooses to make. I feel that DeCosta needs to take a real good look at his coaching staff. Take a serious look at John Harbaugh. See the decision-making he made in this season, especially with Lamar out. Look at everything and address it and assess Harbaugh for what he is and what he brings to the table. Harbaugh won a Super Bowl with us early on in his coaching career. There have definitely been some changes in how he's chose to coach and, act as a head coach over the years. But, he's still one of the best coaches in the league. He's a top 10 coach. I haven't been one to say that he needs to be fired, and I'm not going to say he should be fired, but it's up to DeCosta to make that choice. I feel like you got to assess him. Assess everything and come to this conclusion. Do you believe Harbaugh is the head coach that can help lead this team to another title? Is he the head coach that can bring another title to Baltimore? DeCosta, you have to assess that and come up with an answer. Wink Martindale, I haven't been one to say that he has to go, but a lot of people have been questioning some of his play calling and some of these coverages and why he's not utilizing Odafe Owe in these pass rushing. He keeps backing Odafe Owe up. I'm not going to get into that, but there have been a lot of questions about some of the play calling from Wink Martindale, and some people want him gone. I'm not one, but some people want him gone. I think you have to assess him as well. You definitely have to assess him and decide, is this the defensive coordinator that can help lead my defense to where I want it to be? Can they show up in key situations? Can they show up in the playoffs? Is this going to be the guy that can help this defense be a Super Bowl contending defense? You got to come up with that. And finally, offensive coordinator Greg Roman. I, just like many other Ravens fans, have had a lot of issues with Greg Roman. I, just like many other Ravens fans, have called for this man's job. I'm not going to do that here. It's not my decision. It's up to DeCosta. Truly assess Greg Roman. For me, I'm not buying into Greg Roman's game. I'm not buying into his scheme. Why? Because I've seen this before in San Francisco. I've seen this before in Buffalo. The man has not made any changes. Not to mention, this guy truly reminds me of Mike D'Antoni. His offense puts up a lot of high numbers. They're at the top of the league. They break a lot of records, but at the end of the day, they can't win a championship. In key situations, when it comes to situational play calling, they're not great at that. But most importantly, when things aren't looking great, they stick to their guns and they die on their shield. Mike D'Antoni died on his shield with the 7-second rule with Phoenix and with the 3-point shooting with Houston. Greg Roman has died on his shield with his play calling. They don't change, and they're not going to change. Great head coach in Mike D'Antoni, great offensive coordinator in Greg Roman, but I just don't believe you're going to win with these guys on your team. You're not going to win with that man being your head coach, and you're not going to win with Greg Roman being your offensive coordinator. That's just how I personally feel. But it's not my job to decide that. Eric DeCosta, take a good look at Greg Roman. Get some feedback from the players, from the offensive players, the receivers, even Lamar. Get some feedback. Get the feel of how your players feel towards that offensive coordinator. Get a feel about how your offensive players feel towards the play calling. Get a feel about how everybody on the offense feels about the play calling and Greg Roman as a whole. Then you assess what he's done this year and even last year. Assess what he has done and come to a conclusion. Is this the offensive coordinator that's going to help take this offense to another level and get us to where we want to get to ultimately, which is a Super Bowl championship? Take this time to truly assess John Harbaugh, Wink Martindale, Greg Roman. Also take some time to assess the rest of the coaching staff, especially our strength and conditioning coach. Really address this coaching staff as a whole. Take some time in the offseason, assess it, come to a decision. If somebody's got to be fired, get rid of them, find somebody else, move on. If you feel that this coaching staff is good enough for you that will be able to take this team to a Super Bowl, by all means, don't make any changes. It's up to you. If you and the rest of the front office, the rest of this organization decides to chalk this season up to injuries, we'll be back, we'll run it back with the same unit, by all means, do what you want to do. If you truly believe you'll win a Super Bowl by doing that, do what you got to do. But I feel that you're not going to win with Greg Roman as your offensive coordinator. Many feel that you're not going to win with John Harbaugh being the head coach. A lot of people feel that you're not going to win with Wink Martindale calling the defensive calls. So I feel that you should take this time to address. You don't have to fire anybody. If you address it, you assess them, and you're looking at it and saying, I like these guys, I'm going to keep them, by all means, run it back. Just say it was injuries and run it back. Me personally, I believe they're just going to run it back. Injuries killed us, and they almost made the playoffs. They're just going to run it back. It's as simple as that. They're not going to play around here left and right. They're going to run it back. They're going to run it back for sure. So that's just how I see it. But just take some time, DeCosta. It's up to you. You're the GM. Look at your coaching staff here. Look at the players. Address what needs to be fixed on the offense and defense. Address the coaching staff and see if this is the coaching staff you believe in to help this team get to a Super Bowl. Ball's in your court, DeCosta. With that being said, we're in the offseason. We can finally, move on from the Ravens this season. Focus in on the upcoming draft in a couple months. Just focus on the offseason. Focus on everyone getting healthy and getting our players back. And we'll run it back in 2022. That's all I really got to say. Man, it's been a rough season, Ravens flock. It's been a rough season, but finally, it's over. We can put it to bed. We can put it to sleep. No more stressing out. We can move on. For people that are just Ravens fans, we'll see you next year. For people that are not only Ravens fans but sports fans, tune in. We'll be covering the playoffs. We'll see who ends up ultimately winning the Super Bowl. Me, I hope it's the Packers, but that's just my personal opinion. With that being said, that's all I got. Ravens head into the offseason, and we'll see what happens moving forward. That's all I got, and I'm out of here, man. Peace.